You can always feel it, that subtle shift in the air when her confidence starts to fade and something deeper takes its place. It's not in her words, but in her silence. The woman who once walked away now finds herself haunted by what she let go of. Your steadiness, your peace, your presence. That's when regret begins to whisper. In this video, we'll uncover the quiet signs that show when her regret is close and how your calm, grounded energy built on Stoic strength becomes the mirror she can't escape. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me as we break down each stage of her realization. The shift you don't announce, number 1, the shift you don't announce. It begins in silence. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands respect. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop proving your worth, a quiet transformation takes place. You no longer react to her mood swings or her mixed signals. You no longer rush to fix what she breaks. Instead, you detach, not out of pride, but out of peace. And that's when she feels it. The same calm that once drew her in now unsettles her because it's no longer hers to influence. She can sense the change even if she can't describe it. The man who once fought to be understood now moves in silence. You reply less. You explain nothing. You've stopped feeding the cycle of validation. What used to give her power, your reaction is gone. She starts to notice how quiet it feels without your effort, how empty it feels when your energy no longer fills the space. That's when regret starts to grow, not from what you said, but from what you stopped saying. Remember what Epictetus taught. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That's exactly what you're doing now. You're not preaching about self-worth. You're living it. You've become the calm after the storm, the stability she once overlooked. While she's trying to interpret your silence, you're simply being. That's the essence of Stoicism. To act, not react. To lead yourself, not lose yourself. In this new version of you, there's no anger, no bitterness, just quiet strength. You've accepted that you can't control how she sees you, only how you carry yourself. And that realization liberates you. It's the moment a Stoic man rises above the noise of emotion and embraces stillness as his weapon. You no longer argue to prove your point. Your peace makes it for you. Meanwhile, she begins to remember things differently. She replays moments where you stayed calm, where you didn't chase, where you simply walked away with grace. That composure haunts her because it shows her what she lost. A man who mastered himself. She might post, pretend, or laugh louder now, but it's all an attempt to drown out that quiet truth. Your absence has a gravity she can't escape. This is the shift. You don't announce the one where you evolve from needing her attention to valuing your energy. You've stopped being emotionally available to chaos. You've chosen peace over pride, stillness over struggle. And the irony, that's exactly when she starts to feel your presence the most. Not because you're reaching out, but because your silence now echoes louder than any words ever could. You've become what the Stoics admired, a man in full control of himself, unmoved by temporary emotions, grounded in timeless strength. And that shift, invisible yet undeniable, is what makes her regret inevitable. Take a moment to reflect on that. Shift the power of calm, replacing chaos. When you no longer chase, your silence speaks for you. That's real strength, quiet, grounded, and unshakable. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment. Sharing your thoughts, or simply type, "Silence reveals my strength." And don't forget to like the video. Your support helps this message reach more men walking the same path. Number 2, her confidence starts to tremble. Her confidence starts to tremble. She used to walk with certainty, sure that she could draw your attention back whenever she pleased. She thought she had figured you out, that one message, one subtle post, or one small act of indifference would make you come running again. But now her usual tactics don't work. Your calmness unnerves her. She feels something has shifted, something she can't control anymore. The silence that once seemed like weakness now feels like distance, and not the kind she can bridge. It's the kind that comes from a man who's outgrown her emotional games. She starts to question herself. Why doesn't he react anymore? Has he stopped caring? Has he moved on? Every unanswered text, every quiet day becomes a mirror reflecting her own fading power. What she doesn't realize is that you've reached a state the Stoics revered mastery over your emotions. You no longer need to prove your worth through reaction. You no longer seek validation from someone who couldn't recognize your value when it was right in front of her. You found strength in restraint. Think of Cato, the younger, surrounded by chaos, corruption, and betrayal, yet unshaken. His strength wasn't in aggression, but in composure. When others raged, he remained still. When others compromised, he stood firm. That's your energy now. You're not trying to win her back. You're living by principle. You've turned pain into discipline, longing into purpose, and silence into presence. You've become a man who doesn't need to explain himself because his calm speaks louder than any argument ever could, and that's exactly what unsettles her. She begins to sense that your silence isn't about ignoring her. It's about knowing your value. You've stepped into what the Stoics called apatheia, a state of peace beyond external influence. You feel deeply, but you no longer let feelings dictate your actions. That kind of self-command is rare, and she feels it in every quiet moment you leave behind. Her confidence, once built on your attention, now begins to shake under the weight of your absence. She scrolls through your old messages, replaying memories, searching for signs that she still matters. But she finds nothing. No reaction, no hint, no weakness. You've become what every Stoic man aspires to be: centered, steady, and untouchable. And that's when her regret begins. Not because you punished her, but because she finally sees that your peace was never dependence. It was strength. Number 3, the subtle reach-outs. The subtle reach-outs, she begins to reach out. Hey, a post, a memory shared. But it's not about love. It's about checking if she still matters. You can feel the difference in the tone. It's hesitant, uncertain, like someone testing the temperature of the water before stepping in. Every little thing she does now seems to carry an invisible question. Do you still care? She posts a song that once meant something to both of you, replies to an old story, or leaves a small comment that seems random but isn't. These are not coincidences. They are emotional breadcrumbs. And you've learned to read the silence between her gestures. What she doesn't realize is that you've changed. You no longer react with the same urgency because you've learned that not every knock deserves to be answered. Cleanthes, the student of Zeno, once said, "Emotions are like dogs tied to a cart." The wise man doesn't fight against the pull of reality. He walks with reason in harmony with what is. That's what you're doing now. You're no longer dragged by emotion. You move with purpose. You understand that her messages, her posts, her subtle signals, they're not about love, but about reassurance. She's not trying to reconnect with your heart. She's trying to reconnect with her own sense of importance. But your silence unsettles her. She expected the old version of you, the man who would rush to respond, who couldn't stand being ignored, who needed to fix things right away. Now, you don't chase, you don't explain, and you don't feed the illusion of control. Your calmness has become her confusion, because deep down she knows that the man who once reacted to every word now measures his responses in peace. You've stepped into what the Stoics called apatheia, a state of inner stillness where emotions are felt but never obeyed. And that's the paradox she can't understand. The less you respond, the more she feels your presence. The quieter you become, the louder your absence echoes. What she doesn't see is that your silence isn't a strategy, it's growth. You've moved from needing her attention to mastering your own. And in that stillness, you've become magnetic, not because you're chasing love, but because you've learned to embody it through self-command. She's reaching out to see if you're still the same. But what truly shakes her is realizing that you're not. Number 4, the smile that hides. The smile that hides tension. She looks happy on the surface, the posts, the parties, the laughter. But underneath, something's missing. The peace you once gave her now feels like a void. She hides that tension behind her smiles, behind the carefully curated moments meant to prove to the world and to herself that she's doing fine. But look closer. You'll notice it in her eyes, in the way her energy doesn't match her expression. She's smiling to mask the unease, not to celebrate joy. The very silence that once made her feel powerful now makes her restless. She tells herself she's happy. She repeats it like a mantra. I'm better off. I've moved on. But late at night, when the noise fades and the screen goes dark, that's when the truth hits. What she misses isn't just the relationship. It's the calm that came from your presence. You were her anchor without her realizing it. Your steadiness balanced her storms. Now, in the absence of that balance, even small things feel heavier. Seneca once said, "A man is not made miserable by events, but by his opinion of them." That's where the paths diverge between you and her. You've reframed the ending. It's no longer loss. It's liberation. You've transformed your silence into serenity, your distance into discipline. Meanwhile, she's trapped by her own interpretation. She sees your calm as coldness, your peace as punishment, and in doing so, she creates her own suffering. You've embraced the Stoic lesson that control lies only in your response, never in someone else's reaction. You've learned that detachment isn't indifference, it's clarity. By mastering your emotions, you've become the calm in a world addicted to noise. She, however, is still fighting shadows, the what-ifs, the may, the echoes of things she thought she controlled. Her smiles are armor, and her laughter is a disguise. That's why your silence unsettles her so deeply. It's not what you say, it's what you no longer need to say. You've reached a level of peace that can't be faked or forced, and it exposes everything she tried to hide. She begins to realize that real strength isn't loud, and real presence doesn't demand attention. It simply is. Every forced laugh, every "I'm fine" story becomes another reminder of what she lost. Not a man who chased, but a man who learned to stand still while the world spun around him. That's when regret quietly creeps in, not in dramatic apologies or long confessions, but in the spaces between her smiles. The same calm that she once underestimated has now become the reflection she can't escape. And deep down, she knows she may find laughter again. But peace, like yours, that doesn't come twice. It's strange, isn't it? How someone can look perfectly fine, yet feel completely lost inside. That's the quiet power of absence. It exposes what appearances can't hide. As she smiles for the world, her heart wrestles with the calm she once took for granted your calm. And now that silence she once dismissed has become her mirror. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever seen this shift happen? Share your thoughts below or simply type, "Peace speaks louder." The mirror of comparison number 5, the mirror of comparison. Now, every man she meets is measured against you, and none measure up. She begins to realize that your calm was never weakness. It was depth. The way you handled chaos without raising your voice. The way you stayed composed instead of competing for attention. That kind of energy doesn't fade easily. It's not that you were flawless, but that you were grounded. You had something most men lack today: control. And the irony is, she only truly sees it now when you're no longer around to display it. Your silence has become her point of reflection. When she laughs with someone new, a quiet thought crosses her mind. Why doesn't it feel the same? When she scrolls through your old messages, she senses that unspoken strength you carried. While others rush to impress her with words, she remembers the peace that came from just being around you. That's the thing about real composure. It doesn't beg to be noticed, yet it never goes unnoticed. One of the later Stoics spoke of the expanding circles of care starting with oneself, then reaching outward to family, community, and humanity. You've done exactly that. You no longer orbit her. You've expanded beyond her emotional gravity. While she's still caught in the small circle of regret and comparison, you've entered a larger one, a life guided by purpose, growth, and balance. That's why she feels small in your absence, because you grew and she stayed the same. She sees now that you've become the man she once thought she wanted, but couldn't recognize when he was right in front of her. She thought indifference would make her feel free, but it only revealed her dependency. Meanwhile, your restraint, your ability to let go with grace, now stands out in a world full of overexposure. Your calmness has turned into a kind of quiet power that unsettles her because it reminds her of what she lost. Not just your presence, but the peace that came with it. In the end, she's not haunted by your words or your actions. She's haunted by your composure. Because that's what the Stoics understood so well, that true dominance isn't loud. It's serene. You've stopped competing for validation, and by doing so, you've risen above it. Every man she meets may talk louder, move faster, and try harder, but none of them carry the silence that speaks louder than you ever need to. The weight of memories. Number 6, the weight of memories. A scent, a song, a memory. Each one brings a quiet ache. She remembers the steadiness you offered and realizes she mistook calm for detachment. She thought your stillness meant you didn't care, when in truth, it was the deepest form of care, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Now, every familiar sound, every corner of a place you once shared, carries your energy. She feels it most in silence, in those moments between conversations when her laughter fades and the room feels heavier. That's when the truth whispers. She didn't lose a man who lacked emotion. She lost one who mastered it. What's happening now is what always happens when regret gets close. Memories turn into mirrors. She starts to see the difference between excitement and peace, between attention and presence. The men she meets may bring entertainment, but none bring equilibrium. Your absence has become the reminder of what real stability feels like. And the more she compares, the more the illusion of what she thought she wanted collapses. You, however, have transformed those same memories into fuel for growth. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, you said that true strength comes not from avoidance, but from discipline, from the ability to endure hardship and emerge wiser. That's what you did. You didn't numb the pain with distractions or chase temporary validation. You faced it. You let the loss refine you instead of define you. Where she clings to nostalgia, you found clarity. You stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and began asking, "What can I learn from this?" That's the difference between emotional reaction and stoic reflection. Every moment that once hurt you has become a lesson that strengthens you. You no longer dwell on what was. You focus on what is. You've built habits, peace, and purpose. A life that doesn't need her presence to feel full. And in doing so, you've become the embodiment of what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy, but the calm mastery over destructive emotions. She, on the other hand, is still battling ghosts of her own making. When she revisits the past, she doesn't just miss you. She misses the version of herself that existed when you were in her life. You were her anchor, her quiet balance in a chaotic world. Now that you've withdrawn that energy, she feels adrift. She tries to fill the emptiness with distractions, new faces, new adventures, new affirmations, but nothing hits the same. Because it's not about you chasing her anymore. It's about her realizing that peace doesn't come from attention. It comes from presence. And that's when her regret begins to bloom. Slow, steady, undeniable. Not because you're gone, but because you've grown. You no longer live in her world of impulsive emotions. You live in your own world of inner order. She's haunted by what she lost while you're guided by what you gained. And that contrast, your serenity against her restlessness, is what turns every memory into a reminder that she let go of something truly rare, a man who knew how to love without losing himself. Number 7, the battle between pride. The battle between pride and emotion and emotion. She wants to reach out, but pride stops her. She scrolls through your old messages, hovering over the keyboard, typing something, then deleting it again. She checks your profile, pretends it's accidental, and convinces herself she's just curious. But deep down, she's not. She's looking for traces of the connection. She once had a sign that you still think about her. Her emotions whisper, "Just talk to him." But her ego screams, "Don't give him the satisfaction." That's the war within her pride versus longing. And in that war, silence keeps winning. You've probably noticed the small signs. A sudden post about new beginnings, a quote about self-love, or a story meant to get your attention. It's not coincidence. It's strategy born from confusion. She wants to appear detached while secretly hoping you'll notice. But you don't bite. You've learned what she hasn't. That calmness is louder than reaction. Your silence doesn't come from anger. It comes from understanding that peace doesn't need an audience. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, lived through his own collapse. After losing his entire fortune in a shipwreck, he said, "Now I have made a good voyage." Most would have cursed fate, but Zeno saw it differently. He realized that losing everything external gave him the chance to find everything internal. That's you now. You lost her. Yes, but in that loss, you found yourself. You discovered that the storm doesn't define the sailor. The response does. While she's stuck between impulse and pride, you've reached a level of stillness that she can't understand. You're not waiting for closure, attention, or validation. You've outgrown the noise that used to control you. And the irony is, the more peaceful you become, the more chaotic her emotions grow. Her pride can't compete with your serenity, because while she's still trying to win the battle of control, you've already won the war within. She may act indifferent, but her silence hides a storm. Pride keeps her from reaching out, yet curiosity keeps pulling her back. Every quote she posts, every subtle story is a quiet attempt to be seen, but your calm remains unmoved. You've mastered what she's still learning. Peace doesn't beg to be noticed. Zeno lost everything and called it a good voyage. You did the same. Losing her led you back to yourself. While she battles her ego, you've already found victory in stillness. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment below or type, "My calm is my strength." Let's see what fascinating insights are waiting for us. The questions she can't silence, number 8. The questions she can't silence. As the nights grow quieter, her mind gets louder. Does he still think of me? Did he ever love me? The silence becomes her teacher. She scrolls through old photos, pauses on familiar places, and lingers on songs that once carried both of your names. Every memory that used to comfort her now whispers a truth she's been avoiding, that your absence has meaning. She thought silence meant disinterest, but now she's realizing it means strength. You see, when regret is close, the mind starts replaying everything it once dismissed. She remembers your calm when she pushed your buttons, your patience when she was distant, your steadiness when everything felt unstable. She begins to understand that what she once labeled as boring or too calm was actually emotional maturity, something rare in a world addicted to noise. And now that calm she once took for granted haunts her because she can't find it anywhere else. Marcus Aurelius journaled through wars and grief, yet wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's you now. Her leaving wasn't your downfall. It became the forge that refined you. You turned heartbreak into discipline, confusion into clarity. While she's pacing through her doubts, you've anchored yourself in purpose. Your silence isn't punishment. It's proof of mastery. Mastery over reaction, over impulse, over the desire to be understood. And this is where her regret deepens because she can sense the shift. She can tell that your energy no longer reaches for her, that your peace no longer depends on her response. That realization cuts deeper than any words you could say. You've become what every Stoic man strives to be, unshaken by what's outside, steady in what's within. She might post, laugh, or pretend she's fine. But late at night, when there's no one left to perform for, the truth speaks louder than her pride. She realizes that the man she thought she could walk away from has become the man she can't forget. And that's what silence does. It exposes illusions. It reveals who's still trapped in emotion and who has transcended it. So while she wrestles with the questions she can't silence, you live the answer she'll never forget. Peace is the loudest response. You've done what Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Zeno all taught. You turned loss into liberation. Her regret may be heavy, but your stillness is divine. Number 9, the mystery of your calm. The mystery of your calm. She used to know your patterns. Now she can't predict you. Your calm unnerves her. Your silence confuses her. You've become untouchable, not because you vanished, but because you've evolved. There was a time she could read you like an open book. Every reaction, every tone, every text had a rhythm she could anticipate. But now that rhythm is gone. You don't rush to reply. You don't explain. You don't try to prove your worth anymore. That stillness you've built around yourself feels unfamiliar to her, almost intimidating. She checks your profile and sees nothing new. She hears your name and feels a quiet tension. She wonders, what's he thinking? But the truth is, your calm has no hidden agenda. It's not silence used to manipulate. It's silence rooted in mastery. You've stopped chasing peace from others and started creating it within yourself. That shift changes everything. When you no longer react, you change the emotional balance. She becomes the one who feels unsteady while you remain centered. Crepus, the great Stoic mind, believed that logic was the path to true freedom. That when emotion rules us, we become its slaves. You've learned that lesson. You've stepped out of emotional captivity where validation used to dictate your mood. Now your logic and discipline guard your serenity. You feel deeply, but you're no longer driven by impulse. That's what makes your calm so mysterious. It's not absence. It's presence without chaos. And here's the irony. The calmer you became, the more she started to feel your absence. Even when you were still around, your silence speaks with a strength she can't match because it's not born from pride, but from understanding. You've mastered what she can't yet grasp. That real power isn't in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. That's why she looks at you now and doesn't see the same man she once knew. She sees someone grounded, someone free, and that's exactly what keeps her wondering if she ever truly knew you at all. Number 10, the quiet regret. The quiet regret. When regret arrives, it doesn't scream, it whispers. It's in her late-night scrolls, her accidental visits to your profile, her unspoken what if. She replays old messages, wondering when the shift began, when your warmth turned to calm and your attention turned inward. What unsettles her most isn't your distance, but your peace. She realizes, too late, that your silence wasn't punishment. It was evolution. You didn't withdraw to make her chase. You withdrew to reclaim yourself. Aristodemus, advisor to Emperor Augustus, once said that the wise man's emotions are like trained horses, powerful but obedient. That's you now. You've learned to guide your emotions instead of being dragged by them. You no longer react to her silence with desperation, nor to her absence with anger. You've replaced impulse with intention, emotion with discipline. That's what separates you from the man you used to be, and from the men she now meets. Your calm has become her mirror. Every time she tries to forget you, your composure reflects back the chaos she still carries. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. The kind of quiet that doesn't beg to be understood. It simply is. She once mistook your silence for indifference, but now she sees it for what it truly was. Peace. The kind of peace that can't be manipulated. The kind that makes her realize what she lost wasn't just a man. It was a center of balance she didn't know she needed. That's the quiet power of Stoicism in motion. Not cold detachment, but the strength to feel deeply without being controlled by those feelings. You've become what the Stoics called apatheia, not emotionless, but free from emotional slavery. And as she scrolls through old memories, the echo of your calm begins to haunt her more than any words ever could. And before we continue, take a moment to sit with that idea. The power of calm becoming the loudest truth in the room. Her regret grows in the spaces where your silence used to echo, and now she's the one trying to understand what changed. But the real transformation happened within you long before she noticed. If this resonates with you, pause and reflect for a second. Has your silence ever revealed someone's true intentions? Share your thoughts in the comments or simply write, "Peace is my advantage," to let me know you're here, grounded and growing. Let's move forward. Number 11, the rise of the Stoic man. The rise of the Stoic man. While she wrestles with memories, you've risen above them. You're not her story anymore. You're your own philosophy. Your peace is the loudest message you'll ever send. She feels it even if she won't admit it. The same silence that once confused her now intrigues her. She used to know how to trigger you a text, a glance, a memory. But now you've become unreadable. You respond, note, react. You observe, not obsess. You've taken back control, And that unnerves her more than any words could. You see, she's still fighting the ghost of the man you used to be. The one who over-explained, overgave, and over-carrared. But that man has evolved. You no longer chase peace through her approval. You found it in your own reflection. She notices it in the little things. How your tone is steady, your eyes calm, your presence lighter yet stronger. You've become what Epictetus described as a soul that's in harmony with itself. You're not seeking to be understood anymore. You're choosing to be at peace. And that shift, that quiet evolution, makes her regret everything she once took for granted. Posidonius, a later Stoic, taught that emotions are part of human nature, but reason must steer the soul. You've done exactly that. You've learned that feeling deeply doesn't mean losing direction. You felt the loss, but you've refused to let it own you. When she scrolls through your profile, trying to read your silence, she doesn't see arrogance. She sees serenity. It's the kind of calm that can't be faked, the kind that only comes from pain that's been processed and mastered. You've become a walking reminder that peace isn't found by avoiding storms, but by standing still in the middle of one. And this is where the regret grows. Not because you punished her, but because you didn't. You rose quietly, consistently, without resentment. You've become a man defined by restraint, not reaction. She expected you to crumble, but instead you rebuilt yourself with reason as your foundation. You've become what the Stoics called arche, self-sufficient, emotionally complete, grounded in your own virtue. And the transformation is what truly unsettles her, because now she realizes something profound. She can't affect you anymore. Her validation no longer fuels you. Her silence no longer wounds you. And her attention no longer defines your worth. You've transcended the emotional chess game entirely. You've become the Stoic man, calm in the face of loss, dignified in detachment, peaceful in presence. And while she's still haunted by what was, you're already living what will be. That's the quiet power she regrets walking away from. Not a man who needed her, but a man who discovered he never did. When her regret is close, it's not loud. Conclusion, it's quiet, heavy, and unmistakable. She feels it in the spaces you no longer fill, in the calm she once took for granted. Your silence becomes her mirror, showing her the strength she overlooked and the peace she never learned to give herself. You've evolved from reacting to leading, from needing to knowing. That's the rise of the Stoic man, calm, grounded, and unshakably free. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and watch the next videos on screen. Each one will help you strengthen your mind, your peace, and your purpose.